Ms. Walls, would you call a roll, please?
John Kihlstrom,
Present.
Tim Large. Mindy Prosky,
Present.
Carleen Cox, not here. Nathan Page, not here. Andrew Rathburn,
Present.
and Council Liaison Vanessa Huckabee.
Present.
Call for approval of the minutes from the August 26, 24 meeting. Are there any additions or corrections?
No, but
Anyone on the board? On items 2, 3, and 4, I would like the chair's name spelled correctly. Aihilstrum. With that correction, is there any additional corrections or updating? Otherwise,
I will second.
nobody.
I move to pass the minutes with corrections.
Yeah, I'll second that.
You want me to take roll?
We'll call roll, please.
Okay. Mindy Prosky,
Yes.
John Kihlstrom,
Yes.
Tim Large.
Yes.
And Andrew Rathburn.
Yes.
Business for the board. Coming up, we have the Halloween participation event that's going to be going on from 5 to 7 with setup starting at 4. In front of the fire station, sir?
Yes, it'll be the same location, just in front of the fire station next to the library.
Okay. So we will need active participation there. I will be there throughout the event. Anybody else that is aware that they will be there to help pass out candy? Okay, just be aware, it's coming and there will be a lot of kids. Next item I had was the crossing light at Cracksburger. There was a letter that came out that went to the state that had the traffic board's names on it, talking to this safe routes to school. And I haven't heard anything more on that. And I'm just, if there is any update that anyone knows about this, if it has to be waiting for grants or funding or what's going on with that, if there is any update. Chief?
Yeah, we don't have an update on this yet. If anything, the movement will be on this when we hire a new director of public works. Things are some of the major improvements will likely have to wait for that. But I haven't had any further updates on it outside of there's a couple updates on Webster that's going on, which may play a role on that, but right, there no updates on the crossing. I know it's been talked about.
Yes, yeah, the Webster Road and Oatfield speed reductions are talking to that. There was a note in the weekly update for Gladstone from Ms. Betts that talked to some speed reductions going to be looked at on McLaughlin Boulevard and as well as Webster and Oatfield to reduce these speeds down. And that's going to be dependent, from what I understand, upon county and state looking into these things. And
Yes, the recommendation is going to be on Webster from Roots Road down to Oatfield. So that essentially, a lot of that's county, but as it comes into the city, we just added that in because when you get east of Roots, it drops down to 30. So having it pull up to 35 again and then break down in front of Cracksburger, it doesn't make any sense. So just maintain one speed.
And then I think there's some community movement around Oatfield too, of maybe working to get their speed reduction on that down to 30 miles an hour instead of 35.
Yes, that I think the county may be looking at that, but it's 35 all the way even through Gladstone into the county, I think all the way almost to Milwaukee. So it's going to be a heavy lift for them.
The other notation was that McLaughlin Boulevard is going to be doing pedestrian improvements. And as well as I said, a speed reduction, going to putting in flashing light crosswalking, and then just looking at reducing the speed from 40 down to 35 is what the statement was. That will be, of course, that state, so we'll have to figure out what all that means.
So just a little bit of clarity with regards as I reviewed it, the improvements for the crosswalks, that will be just north of the city. So Meldrum, which is one street north, and then Risley, which I believe is the other side also. But it seems to be moving south.
Mm.
So they did a lot of crosswalk improvements further north than that, so continually moving south. And so when we talk about the speed reduction on McLaughlin, it's currently 40 miles an hour. They're going to recommend dropping it down to 35, all the way through Gladstone into Oregon City, where it already drops to 30 or 35, 30 or 35. So that'll reduce that in hopes of helping the efforts of Arlington and McLaughlin itself.
And we also had some a resident come and talk about the subdivision at Oak Ridge and accidents that have been happening there. If there's anything that the council could recommend or things that could be looked at. One of the things, of course, would be a speed reduction. The other was something that I looked at, and it would have to depend on studies from probably county and city and everybody else, but putting signage, the arrow signage, like which is on Webster Road going towards Cracksburger. You have the yellow signs with the black arrows that are reflective that direct traffic and say, go this way and that way. And I would see about 9 signs. I think I had down 6 northbound and 3 southbound to kind of give a visual where the road is curving left and right and going uphill or downhill, depending on which way you're coming. So just thoughts to enter into the records to see if that,
Yes, I've reached out. We're looking at putting just curve signs, curves ahead. I don't know, we don't know another way to address it. But getting some sort of reflective curve signs out there, just to warn residents and drivers. Yes, it's
either a reflective chevron on the right side of the road from the south. That's great.
and both sides. Yeah, we're talking about putting them on both sides before you get that, because there is that blind spot as you go up the hill. And so somehow getting a sign that indicates kind of maybe some rising and curve to slow down, maintain, warn people. I think that's kind of what we come up with after looking at a bunch. So.
So I was thinking.
Okay. And I
Uh,
can't give you a date, but
yeah.
I will be meeting with the Public Works interim person, supervisor or manager this week. So you bet.
Thank you, Chief. Next on the agenda would be the Gladstone High School youth participant on the traffic board.
Yeah, so one, I want to make sure we follow up and don't have the expectation that that's going to come right away. We didn't get enough applicants. So it's going on to city council goal setting in January. And so there'll be more on that after the first of the year, once city council has an opportunity to weigh in a little bit more and provide some guidance. Sorry, I'm speaking for you.
All good. You nailed
So
it.
that's kind of where it's at right now.
Thank you. I had down reports from Nathan Carlene, you guys were working on. Nathan's not here. Yeah, our Carlene.
They're
so
not here.
No,
John.
no reports from that. Coming up January is the next year, and we need to develop an annual work plan. So we need to be looking at what we need to follow up on and continue doing with the traffic board. So any ideas that anybody has that they would like to see going forward? Let's get those out so we can present all that at the next meeting.
Yeah, I would recommend looking at what our current plan is,
Mhm.
building off that, and understand that, whatever we put on there, we're committing to doing. So understand the work involved and the time frame, and be, very understanding of each other's times too. So don't overcommit, but
Yeah.
commit, if that makes sense.
Chief, I have a question that I get confused about. Is there a map that shows which streets belong to Gladstone and which belong to the county within the Gladstone
Yeah,
perimeter?
yes, there is. It's GIS. I think you can go to the city website and dig through that and get on. I want to say Public Works has a mapping portion on there that we use in the police department. We have it in our CAD, that shows the outline of the city and what's in the city limits, what's outside the city limits, and that constantly stays updated. So, but you can go on Public Works site, and I think there's a mapping program in there.
Okay. Yeah, because I've talked about getting some potholes filled, and the pothole crew looks at me and goes, nope, even though that's county road. And I'm going like, it's right in the middle of the city.
And that is the case sometimes.
Yeah.
That's completely the case. And when you're talking, excuse me, when we talk about potholes and that kind of stuff, I'd go direct with Public Works on
Yeah.
that.
The other one is where you get this issue is Hull Avenue, north of Portland Avenue, where it seems like half is on the county and half is on the city. And so
It's because it is.
nobody touches it.
That's because it is.
Nobody
And-
touches it.
And it's no different than like Glen Echo, right?
Yeah.
When you have that dip where it floods all the time, that part is county. And so we put our signs out there because that's our kids and our residents that use that. And that's why we do all those warnings with Public Works, to deal with that stuff. But street maintenance is way outside my lane and I have no idea.
Review of traffic accidents. The only thing that I've noted was the percentage of traffic accidents involving hit and run. It may not be a significant number, but the percentage says 57% of the accidents, August, September, were hit and run, either parked vehicles or an actual crash where somebody then fled. It's on the document that this,
Yeah, I see it. Do you have a question?
it seems like that tends to be fairly often as a lot that goes on. Is it limited to a certain?
I think that's why it's difficult to put different bar graphs
Yeah.
and percentages in, because 57%, there was 3. That's your 57%.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah, well,
Or
there's,
3 to 4.
Yeah.
2 vehicle accidents were 4.
yeah,
Hit and run, and park to park vehicles or to hit and run 2 vehicle accident actually was a total of 4.
yeah. No, I know, it's a
So-
very, very low
So
number.
it's hard to.
Yeah.
It's hard. We try and put as much information out there, but it kind of does look.
Yeah, is it limited to, are the parked vehicles, are they all on like Arlington?
No, they just about anywhere.
Okay. All right, anybody, go to roundtable discussion. Anybody that wishes to say something, please do so. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a couple things I'd written down. Just wanted to put it on your radar, chief, and then see if wanted to know if you guys had noticed this at all. My neighbor has uh been saying that on Union there, kind of from Dartmouth, East Dartmouth down through to Safeway or to Berkeley, I think it goes to, that a lot of people have been flying down that road. And he thinks it's been since a new business express employment got put in there. He's not sure, but his kids play out there, and so he's just noticed a lot more traffic coming down that road really fast. And it's a very out of the way road.
Like Dartmouth to Arlington.
Yeah, I think
Or
I think
Berkeley.
yeah, I think Union goes Dartmouth to I think it only goes to
Berkeley,
Berkeley. Yeah. So I just told him I would mention that.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Did you say there was a new business there?
He said that express employment got put in. I'm not sure. I didn't know of a new business, but he thought there was a employment office that had been put in down there, is what he said to me.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So what do you think the name of it was? Express?
Express employment, like a temp agency.
Okay.
But yeah, I wasn't aware of a new business going in.
We'll check the business license.
Okay. And then it was either on Webster or Oatfield. I think it's on Oatfield where they just did some of that new paving and stuff. There's, as you drive down the road, there's some patches where it looks like the seal has come up.
They scraped the top. They must have been high and low spots.
Oh,
Came in and marked everything and it's
okay.
chiseled off the top.
Okay, gotcha.
The county is repairing that, by the way.
Okay. I did have one other question about the police statistics that were put out. I was just curious what the difference between dispatched and officer initiated incidents are, and then the dispatched incidents are lower and the officer initiated are higher than last year. And so just curious if that's a coincidence or if there is some kind of mindset behind that that's led to that shift, or just so happens that's how it's worked out this year.
Some of everything. So the dispatch incident is where dispatch will give us a call for service.
Mhm.
Right, they'll send it through the MDCs and we're dispatched as a victim that needs to be talked to, a complainant that needs to be talked to. A self-initiated is an officer self-initiating. They see something suspicious. They see someone in the park after hours, those types of things. It could be a community contact, which is us just getting out and saying, hey, how you doing? And just chatting with people. We track, everything we do is tracked through data.
Mhm.
And we can break it down. And there's reasons for that, obviously. But we also are able to know what our officers are doing, what we're not doing. I think without even looking at it, our numbers are higher. Even though we may not be being dispatched to some of the smaller calls like we were last year, it'll catch up with us next year because it's ebb and flow. But our officers are still doing things and they're out there in the field. They're out there being visible. And that's what's important. That's what creates a sense of security. That's what creates a sense of visibility. That's what gets officers out to meet people. Not just to arrest people, not just to give tickets, but actually get out and talk to people.
So so in other words, when dispatched just happens, when you happen to have more dispatched incidents, there's less officer initiated incidents because they're
That's
busy
correct.
on the dispatch calls.
Because they're busy.
Got
Yep, absolutely. And by the end of the year, that may change.
it.
These numbers may change depending on how the month goes,
Got it.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does. Thank you.
I believe there are also more officers on the force now too.
Yes, well, we're not working as much overtime, yes. So we're filling our ranks, and it's very nice. We just brought on our new lieutenant today. And he started today. He's 21 years out of the Dowels. So he's going to be of great value. He's going to add value to Gladstone. We're promoting a local kid. I call him a kid. But he's older. He's a graduate of Gladstone High School and everything. Sebastian Orr will be promoted to sergeant. Tim, I think you sat on the panel, be promoted to sergeant on November 11th. So our command will be full finally after about a year and a half because we weren't going to fill command until we filled the rank and file. And so, and now we're going to now we got to backfill for everybody. So, and we're starting that process already.
Tim?
I have one thing for you. With winter weather and darkness, is the crosswalk at Arlington and Harvard on anybody's radar? Because I haven't, and maybe I'm missing it, but I haven't seen the
Right by Cross Park. Golden Cross Park. And Charles Ames Park there.
yeah. I haven't seen any enforcement, you know, there used to be like the little sting operations during the summer.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that in a while. Just curious if that.
Yeah, no, actually that, we were able to fund those through grants and that took so much personnel that we didn't have this year. It took a lot of bodies and able to do that because you have to have your participant actors walking across, then you have to have enough officers to get both sides, right? So you don't cause more problems. So it takes a lot of resources to do that. We did do it one year and we may have to look at it again.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I'm just giving you the honest answer. It's just a resource pull too.
The other thing I was gonna ask was about the sergeant. When does he start? Does he have a swearing in?
November 11th, he starts. Swearing in is November 12th at City Council for both the sergeant and the lieutenant.
All right, that's all I got.
Mindy?
Yeah, I would like to ask if I could please get a copy of our current work plan. I don't seem to have them in my files. As the chief noted that in thinking about our work plan for 2025, I need to review the work plan that we have currently. That would be really great. Thank you so much.
I think we also want to keep in mind, in 2026, I think the traffic safety plan for the city of Gladstone is going to be up for you 26 or 27. So I forgot who was assigned that to review that on our committee here. And we have the notes on that, so we'll get that, but that probably we need to continue to keep that on our radar and follow that because there's some changes and some things in that plan that we've already accomplished. And maybe now there's more that needs to get accomplished. So that's one thing that I would recommend staying on the plan. And I'll bring up another thing too, when you guys are ready for me.
Can I throw something out there to include? So work plan, sessions, whether they be in meetings or, ad hoc, they take a lot of time. And I haven't seen it very efficiently where each member individually reviews it at home and then comes together and it's just put together. So like the community center, they did a meeting in here that was just for the work plan, like a work session. And it was really good. So just keep that in mind because it will take a lot of time in a meeting like this to do.
Christie, can you send the last work plan to every member of the board, please?
Yep, I'll send it out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I just had a couple of things here. I just was reading through the Public Works, but they put out, and there are things under streets, and they talked about pothole maintenance continuing to repaint yellow curbs, continue to walk installing stop bars. Stop bars are the white lines.
I believe so.
Yeah. And then staff is working to gather information to finalize the final street signage project. Does anyone have input as to what the final street signage project is?
I do. We brought that, we started working on that about 4 years ago. what we noticed, what was noticed is a lot of signs in Gladstone were just placed. They were just put there, but there's standards of where signs should go to right distances, right places, right locations, et cetera. And so working with Public Works, we've been able to identify different areas that need to be fixed throughout the city. And so Public Works has done a great job, is doing as best they can. So they've been kind of going, I believe, through the leaf pickup. We use kind of the leaf pickup zones as zones to fix areas. And so we're just wrapping around now. So they're finalizing that. That is for speed signs, getting the speed signs the right size. Some were too small, but getting them the right sized and bringing the city to the professional standards that need to be done through to basic industry standards. So that's exactly what we're doing, and what Public Works is doing.
Thank you, Chief. You're on, Chief.
Okay. We talked about the traffic study on Webster. We talked about the one on McLaughlin, so we're gonna pull that off mine a little bit. But I do want to have a discussion, and this might be something we want to talk about for our planning agenda, which is an e-bike ordinance. The electric bikes. There are cities that are putting together e-bike ordinance just for safety reasons. Some are faster than others. Some are wearing helmets, some not. I'm not a big traffic cop anymore. So I would have to really look up and study the ORS to understand the different types of e-bikes that would require. I'm sure there's rules in that, but if that's something that we want to talk about and put on our work plan, I think getting in front of this is better than waiting for an incident to happen. There's already been one death I'm aware of because I'm looking at it. That teen was killed as a result of an e-bike accident. So I know some of the cities like Seaside on the coast and the tourist areas are having that, and it's going to become a bigger problem here as we see them all over, and to become extremely, extremely popular. So that might be something we want. In fact, it is probably something we want to put on our agenda and our work plan for next year. And then any other questions you may have? I mean, I can give you some traffic stats that we have currently for August. When we talk about different stops, so this would be part of the self-initiated stops that you talked about. Also, is we made 392 traffic stops in August. Issued 237 citations or charges, and arrested 3 drunk drivers. In September, we made 378 traffic stops, issued 111 citations or charges, and arrested 4 drunk drivers for a total of 24 to date. To date, we've stopped 2,500 cars and issued 1,082 citations or charges on those. When you look at that, we still maintain our philosophy as we want to educate people as much as, the enforcement piece will come. And we're still under 50% citation to stop. So if we stop 100 cars, 50 or less are getting tickets. The other ones are getting warnings because our intent is to educate. But there are times when people just deserve a citation, right? They just deserve the ticket. So, and that's what happens. Of course, we have our grant funding that goes out and we deal with seat belts, distracted driving, stop sign or speed violations, and DUI. So ODOT and Oregon Impact have provided us grant money to do that. They again provided us more grant money that the council approved us to accept last month, I believe. So that program will continue, and you continue doing that. We don't have the officers where I can put a traffic team together to do this. So we rely on these grants. We rely on these officers coming in on their own time, identifying what the best time and locations for these violations to get that done. So it's a win-win for everybody. And I think that is all I have unless you have additional questions.
I did have one question. I've heard you mention last time about the 50%, trying to stay below the 50%. Is that like an industry standard, or how does the traffic enforcement kind of philosophy in Gladstone, how does that stack up to the other cities around us?
I think what's important to me, and it's philosophy based, and it's kind of what I grew up with. Our job is not to punish the public, hence the Ferguson effect. Okay? I'm very, very cautious. I've reviewed that document many times, understood it long before that, because in my 36 years, I've noticed that it's better to keep your numbers. What I say equal is give as many warnings as you do citations, because a lot of people deserve that. A lot of people deserve a warning. Just because you have a 16-year-old that accidentally rolls through a stop sign, that should not punish that child to get a ticket. Will that person learn from it? That's the important piece. Are you going to learn from this stop? We can tell whether you're going to learn from the stop or not. It's pretty easy, right? So that's what we look at. And as a result, it just arbitrarily gets to that. It just naturally occurs. It's like organic, right? If we go out and say, okay, I can give the order and say, everybody you stop today gets a ticket. Not fair. Not fair to the officer, not fair to the community member. So it's really discretion. And does the officer get their point across? They get their point across, walk away, great. If you're driving with a suspended license, you're guaranteed a ticket, right? You're driving without a license, you're guaranteed a ticket. If you're speeding, depends on how fast you're going. Some are just automatic. Some are, I need you to slow down. We went through a time where there was a street in Gladstone that was legitimately complaining about fast vehicles, speeding vehicles. But our data showed that the fastest cars were 6 to 7 miles an hour over the speed limit. But to a community member, that may look fast. So we started making stops for 5 miles over for a while. Not to give tickets, to give warnings, asking people to slow down. But then you can get the frustration of the driver going, I'm going 5 miles over. Everybody's used to that. It's almost a norm now, right? So somehow you got to balance that. I hope I answered your question. So the 50%, getting back to the 50%, that was an old adage from a chief that I worked with for years. And I took that philosophy and I believe in that philosophy and I think it works.
Yeah, thank you.
And by the way, I think we probably stop more cars than a majority of organizations in Clackamas County.
Well, I imagine I can imagine for an officer, it feels better knowing you have discretion. You're maybe more likely to pull someone over because you know you can use your discretion.
Yeah, I think so. And the officers like doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
They enjoy their community. We're not here to punish our community. We're here to educate our community. And create safety barriers, right?
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next on the agenda would be community input. Do you have anything you wish to say this evening after what you've heard?
I do have one question. If we wanted to do landscaping along Oakfield Road by our neighborhood, by Oak Ridge HOA, who do we reach out to make sure we're going through the proper process? Public Works. Get a hold of Public Works. Yeah. Yeah, so we're opened up for a new hire of a director, but I think Public Works has still answered those questions for you. So the city won't stop. It's just some of the major projects, right? So Public Works should be able to give you all the guidance you need. And if you're struggling getting over there, just reach out to me.
Anything else? Good. Anybody else have any issues? If not, we'll call this meeting over at 6:35 PM. Yeah, need to vote to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I will call roll. Mindy,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Tim,
Yes.
and Ann.
Yes.
Meeting's adjourned.